And so I was like, you know, I still have some, so I don't need them at the moment. But I said, when I need them, I was like, can I have the pharmacy just like contact you for a refill on the prescription? And she was like, oh no, I don't do anything like that. You know, I'll have to send you to gynecology or whatever for that. And I'm like, I really wanted to be like, well, what do you do? Like, so I can come to you for a cold and like a cold, because I don't know what else I would go to her with. I really don't. I've had really bad luck with primaries. I'm so complicated. I think they're overwhelmed, and I get that, but yeah, super frustrating. So okay, let's talk about appointment number 4 in my poopy week. So appointment number 4 was with my primary, and I had to go to my primary like a couple weeks ago. I had a problem with my toe that we had to deal with. They ended up referring me to podiatry that I had taken care of. And I'll link that video here, and I'll put it in the description. So when I was at the other primary appointment, my regular primary couldn't see me, but I could see her PA. And it's the first time I had seen the PA, and she was super nice. And I ended up bringing up to her that I'm real tired of having to go to the emergency room to get fluids, and I really want to talk about having a Mediport put in so that I can do IVs and stuff from home. And she said, you know, with all of your health stuff, you know, she's like, I very much understand, you know, where you're coming from. And she's like, I recommend that you write her a letter, get it to her before the appointment, and then you can talk to her about the appointment, or at the appointment. So I did that, and I really just wanted to put all of my thoughts in, because I know it's not like a normal request, but I also don't have a normal body. So I wrote the letter, and it took me a good week to get all of my thoughts in there, because every time I like stopped, you know, like I'd think of something else of why I really think that it's the right way for me to go. And it ended up, like, it was 3 pages long. Like, I really had a lot to say. So I sent over the letter about a week before I saw her, and waited until the appointment day. So Tuesday was the horrible day of Botox neurology and endocrinology. And I was so heartbroken at neurology that they couldn't help me with the complications from the feeding tube stuff. And so with this appointment, I made sure and went in there with no expectations, because I couldn't handle that again, so close to the other one. So I went into the appointment, and she walks in, and it was kind of sort of like a follow-up to all the ER visits. Kind of. It's really what the other one was. This one was supposed to be more like a regular appointment, but it ended up turning into like a follow-up of all the hospital stays. And I came in, and she was like, you know, you've really been through it the past, you know, few months. And I said, yeah, you know, it's been really hard, and all of it's hard on my body, and I'm just trying to get anything better that I can. And she was like, and I tried to tell her something about my toe, because it was just kind of like a follow-up appointment in general. And she was like, well, you know, I really think that you have more important things to deal with than your toe. And it was just such a dismissive comment. I don't know. It was a little weird. Kind of hit me wrong. And then she's like, you know, I so appreciate you taking all the time to write that letter. You know, you put your thoughts in such a great order. And it was literally like trying to stroke my ego. And I already knew that nothing else that she was going to say was going to be good. And it wasn't. And it was a, you know, I feel so bad that you're going through all of this. You know, I sympathize with all of the issues that you're having. You know, I can't imagine, you know, living with everything that you're living with. And, you know, I can't imagine that you're still working full time and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, but, you know, I can't get you a port. And I'm like, you're my primary physician. I was like, what in the world, you know, if you can't, you know, like, who in the world can? And she was like, well, you really need to talk to GI, and you really need to talk to, I don't know, it could have been just GI that she said. And I've tried to talk to my GI a couple times about it, and she's always shut me down. Like, we couldn't even talk about it, and it was a little off-putting. And so I'm already having a really bad week. I had no hope that this appointment was going to go very well, but still, like, as soon as she says no, and it was weird because it wasn't a I won't put the order in for you to get a port. It was an I can't put the order in for you to get a port. And it was so odd. And she just kept saying, you know, I sympathize with you, I sympathize with you. And I'm like, you know, you're really nice, and that's super awesome. And I was like, but you being nice doesn't help me feel better. And she was like, you know, well, tell me, you know, what I can do to help. Tell me what I can do. I already told you what you could do, and you can't do it. And it was so frustrating. And there was other stuff that I needed to talk to her about. Like, I have this one section in my back that keeps going numb, and there's this spot at the top of my back that hurts really bad, and this bottom spot, like, between my hips on my back that hurts really bad. And I had the other, I think the glucose monitoring stuff, I think that I wanted to talk to her about, just to kind of keep her up to speed. Yeah, I didn't talk about anything else. Like, as soon as she said no, I was just like, and she was like, you know, well, can I, you know, refer you to somebody else? And I was like, refer me to somebody else what? And she was like, well, you know, if you can't talk to your GI about this, you know, maybe I can refer you to somebody else. And I was like, so you're going to refer me to somebody else in the health system in the same department that my GI is in? And I was like, and I love my GI. I said, you know, she's been with me for years and years through all of this ups and downs and horrible. And I said, you know, I don't want to change from my GI. And she was like, well, yeah, but maybe you should get like a second opinion, you know, about things. And it was so along the same lines of, you know, push you off into somebody else, push you off into somebody else, you know, you're somebody else's problem. Yeah, it was really, really, really not a good appointment. And so I get upset and I start crying. I swear to goodness, I have never cried so much in a week. It was such a hard week. And so yeah, so I start crying again. And then she was like, oh dear, you know, I just feel so bad for you. Right, but you can't do anything to help me, so I'm good. Go get my paperwork so I can leave. So I didn't talk to her about anything else, and she just keeps being like, you know, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? You know, who can I refer you to? And I'm like, you refer me to another GI. I said, you know, obviously they're going to talk to my GI, and there's no way another GI in the same department at the same health system who works with my GI every single day is gonna look at all of my information, and that she's been with me for years, and then magically go against what she thinks is best. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, I live in reality, so this is reality, and it's not gonna get any better going to somebody else in the health system. And she was like, well, you know, I could refer you out of the health system. And I'm like, oh, so I get to start completely over? And it's not like I can have like 14,000 GIs under my subspecialty. Like, my care would have to be changed over to somebody else. And I said, I'm not willing to do that, not over this, you know. And she just kept asking, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? And it was like this, it was like a bumper sticker, you know, like, oh, it was a nice sentiment, but it sure doesn't get you anywhere. I was so frustrated. And we talked about, you know, the dehydration and the whatnot, and I told her, I was like, you know, I'm dehydrated again. I already need to go to the emergency room. And I was like, I just find this a little bit ridiculous that there's no other option for me. Like, I have to go to the emergency room to get fluids. I was like, in this day and age, and the health system that I'm in, it was just like the best health system in Texas. And I said, you know, like, this is my option. Like, I can be so sick and I still have to go to the emergency room to get fluids. And I was like, we can't put me on some type of schedule. Like, there's infusion centers for my health system, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. It was like, there has to be another option. What can I do? What can I do? Oh, I was so frustrated. Oh my gosh, I was so frustrated. And like, that was it. That was the whole appointment. And there were some other things that I needed to talk to her about. Like, I needed to talk about the next appointment. Oh my gosh, and something else happened. So if I'm on, this actually hasn't happened in a while, so I'm gonna, you know, like, knock on wood. Anytime that I was on antibiotics for a long period of time, years and years, I would always get a yeast infection. I mean, it was literally like, give me my prescription for the antibiotics and give me the prescription to fix the yeast infection, because they went hand in hand. And I'm allergic to everything that fixes yeast infection stuff. Monistat, Diflucan, there was 2 others that I tried. Horrid allergic to all of them. Like, I would use them and then I would have to go to the emergency room to get massive doses of steroids to fix them. It was awful. Oh my gosh. So we found this stuff. I say like we just like found it out of nowhere. My primary, my last primary, there's this, you can get boric acid suppositories that have to be like compounded at a compounding pharmacy, and they make them in these little like silicone molds for me, and so that's what I have to use to get rid of them. And so there's only like 3 prescriptions that I need my primary to do. Everything else comes from my subspecialties, and so 2 of them are super easy, but then the third one are these suppositories. And so I was like, you know, I still have some, so I don't need them at the moment, but I said when I need them, I was like, can I have the pharmacy just like contact you for a refill on the prescription? And she was like, oh no, I don't do anything like that, you know, I'll have to send you to gynecology or whatever for that. And I'm like, I really wanted to be like, well, what do you do? Like, so I can come to you for a cold, and like a cold, because I don't know what else I would go to her with. I really don't. I've had really bad luck with primaries. I'm so complicated. I think they're overwhelmed, and I get that, but yeah, super frustrating. So that was appointment number 4 in my poopy week, and I'm still not done yet. So I've got 2 more to go. Lordy, it's always something. Okay, I'm gonna cut this into the video before I end it. This is super cool. So, okay, it is so cool. And like, you see all the little dots down here? Like, that's all my blood sugar for the past, you know, couple hours or so. And so like right now I'm sitting at 87, and it's pretty stable. Oh my gosh. Okay, and one other thing. Like, I bruise so easy. Come on. Look at my poor fingertips. That was for finger sticking, and that's literally only, I mean, that's 2 sticks, and it bruises and they hurt. Oh my gosh. Okay, so thankful. So hashtag not sponsored, but seriously, like, it's really, really, really awesome. And I knew that it was gonna help me like feel a little bit safer in my body, that I have something else watching for me. Seriously, it's really, really cool. Okay, bye. Give the video a like, subscribe below. I'll see y'all in a little bit. Bye.